What's up residents, Jacob here. Over the last few months, I've made a couple of different videos on the SkullCrawlers, the villain monsters from 2017's Kong Skull Island. After those videos, I could see that there was a surprisingly large amount of SkullCrawler fans out there, and who's to blame them? These monsters are badass. There have been rumors that the SkullCrawlers will be returning in Godzilla vs. Kong, which could very well be true considering a portion of the film will take place on the island. And this brings up an interesting question. What happened to the SkullCrawlers after the events of Kong Skull Island and the defeat of their leader, commonly known as the Big One? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. Don't forget to go follow us over on our Instagram page if you haven't already. And now let's get to it. The last time we saw the SkullCrawlers was way back in the year 1973, the year in which Skull Island took place in. And that seemed like it was going to be the last time that we seen them after it appeared like Kong killed all the members of the species and their leader. And it stayed that way within the Monsterverse timeline all the way until the year 1995. Do you guys remember Houston Brooks? Well, that guy had a son in that time that followed Monarch's first expedition to Skull Island, and his name was Aaron Brooks. Aaron takes center stage within the comic series titled Skull Island: The Birth of Kong, and within this story, we get the proof we need that the SkullCrawlers are still in existence on Skull Island. A young native boy to Skull Island called Addo is the first to mention the whereabouts of the SkullCrawlers after over 20 years since Kong took out the Big One.
The way to the village is blocked, Aaron. Yes, but there is a place nearby. Safe for your metal bird to land, safe for us, except we must cross through the boneyard, the home of the SkullCrawlers.
Aaron Brooks and the rest of his Monarch crew then decide to listen to the boy and follow him to the one place on Skull Island that the SkullCrawlers are allowed to surface on, the place Kong will not go, his family's grave. Not long after the crew walks into the graveyard and amongst the bones of Kong's parents, they appear. SkullCrawlers! In there, hide! I thought Kong killed off the last of the crawlers. My father's notes were pretty clear on that.
Weaken them, yes, but more dwell below, many more.
In this small segment of the comic series, we are told exactly what has happened to the SkullCrawlers, at least from the year 1973 to 1995. With Kong now no longer having a major threat like that of the Big One, he can focus solely on population control and keeping the smaller SkullCrawlers from ever growing to too dangerous sizes again. If these smaller SkullCrawlers ever venture out beyond his parents' graveyard, then Kong quickly hunts them down and destroys them. A lesson to all that dwell beneath the surface. Skull Island is no longer safe for them to wreak havoc on. Kong is forever watching. From this point in the timeline, we don't know or hear anything about the SkullCrawlers other than a brief mentioning that comes from the book adaptation of Godzilla King of the Monsters. The novelization claims that after hearing Ghidorah's call that many of the SkullCrawlers, if not all of them, intended to leave the island and venture off to serve their new master. You may be wondering how these SkullCrawlers intended to get off the island, when it appears like they are not natural swimmers. But within the novelization of Kong Skull Island, it is said that some of the SkullCrawlers possessed amphibious features, even some having gills similar to that of Godzilla. So it appears like the SkullCrawlers were going to give it their best shots at swimming across the ocean and reaching the mainland. But before they could even make it to the water, Kong was there to confront them. It's safe to say that most of these SkullCrawlers did not make it out alive. And that's all we know about the whereabouts of the SkullCrawlers after we first seen them in the movie Kong Skull Island. If these monsters do indeed show up in Godzilla vs. Kong, which I think there's a good chance that they will, then more than likely, after trying to leave the island, the remaining SkullCrawlers went back underground to wait for their next best opportunity to strike once again. Hey residents, I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you have any friends who've asked you what happened to the SkullCrawlers, maybe think about sharing this video with them. Of course, only if you want to. Make sure to like this video if you want more news and updates about the SkullCrawlers and if they're actually going to be in Godzilla vs. Kong, which you guys know that we're going to let you know if that does happen regardless. So this has been Jacob, and I'll see you next time everyone. Peace out.